Good
Yeah,
afternoon, sir. Hello.
yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Are we ready to start, sir?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome the esteemed speaker of today's session, Dr. Mukund Dev Behera, Dr. Anandita Roy Saha, Coordinator, Center for Earth Studies, all the faculty members and participants in this special lecture session in the online certificate course on climate, community, and conservation under the theme Climate Crisis. On behalf of the Department of Environmental Studies and the IP College community, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Behra for agreeing to deliver a talk in this session. It is my privilege to introduce him to all the participants. Dr. Mukundev Behra is an associate professor at Center for Oceans, Rivers, Atmosphere and Land Sciences, IIT Kharagpur. He has made outstanding contributions to the field of forest remote sensing and ecological climatology through theorizing, modeling, and conducting innovative experiments and field based measurements. He has developed innovative protocols and new methods for estimating a range of vegetation, photosynthetic structural variables, including leaf area index, canopy height, canopy chlorophyll, above ground biomass, and productivity, using suite of satellite data products and modeling. He has published around 100 research articles in reputed journals and published several books and book chapters. Sir, I am sure that we are going to immensely benefit from your decades of research and teaching experience. I once again welcome you to IP College and hand over the session to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Navin. It's my privilege to meet you through this platform, and also I'll talk to and discuss with the participants. So, at the outset, let me just know this participant background. They are our master students mostly.
So most of them are undergraduate students. There are few research scholars and a few faculty members also. So there is a mixed group of participants, although small group, but coming from different levels.
So few faculty members, PhD students, and UG students.
UG students, yes.
Okay, there are no PG students.
There are two PG students, I guess.
There are two PG.
I think they haven't joined yet, but they will be joining eventually. Maybe they are delayed,
Yeah,
but there are two PG students.
No problem. And they are all in which department? Means we are all environmental science. Right?
Yes, they all are having environment as a paper at some stage. They have studied environment or they have some background, or if not, they have some interest in understanding environmental issues. That's why they have joined the course.
Great. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So I'll start. I'll share the screen, and you have asked me that you are going to record it. So yeah. So let me share the screen first. Is the screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So good afternoon, all of you again. See, the title of this online certificate course is Climate, Community and Conservation. And as I understand, we are a mixed group from UG to PhD and also some of our faculty colleagues. So this topic is very vast, very broad, and also of general interest. So there are a few slides, about 40 slides I have chosen to take help and to talk to you. See, I have divided this lecture, this particular talk, into three parts. Is my voice audible, or is it okay now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I have divided the talk into three parts. First, I will try to inform you or try to convince you that the earth where we live in, how it is suitable to accommodate life, to accommodate biota, to accommodate biodiversity. So in a sense, how our planet, the unique planet Earth, is suitable to accommodate biodiversity. Then the second point I'll make about the climate. So how and why we have the climate, the climate what we originate today, or the climate what we experience today, how the climate we receive, or what is the mechanism the climate we got, or the climate what we are experiencing, how it has, or what are the mechanism to understand it. That's the second point. And the third point, I will try to uh, means tell you or convince you that where is the relation, or how is the relation between climate and biodiversity, or you can say climate change and biodiversity. So these all three I have put a little more conceptual, though towards end I have used some of our studies to give a site as an example. But by main idea, since it's a certificate course, I thought to pick some slides from my own class lectures and framed it that way. Okay, so I'll be more happy if you don't treat it as a lecture, if you treat it as a discussion, and can interrupt me at any point of time. Of course, I think Dr. Navin might have kept provision for some questions towards end, but I with the kind permission of the organizer, I'll be happy if you can interrupt me in between and ask questions. I'll be happy to answer that. So with this briefing, let me go ahead. So, friends, this is the Earth we inherit, and our galaxy is about how many years old? It is about 13.8 billion years old. The moment you say billion, I think you know the how many zeros we have. 10 lakh is 1 million. 1000 million is 1 billion. So the whole galaxy is about 13.8 billion years old. As you talk to your geology friends or colleagues, they will help you in explaining it better. So, friends, as far as our Earth is concerned, somewhere here, the solar system and Earth, it is about 4.5654, or I would say 4.6 in a rough sense, 4.5, 4.6 billion years old. You know the billion again. So, this is what I mean to say in terms of the nature timeline. And through the left hand side, I have put about 6 points. So this is where I want to make a point that how our Earth is unique, how our Earth is habitable. Habitable means it is the only planet in the galaxy to known till date which has life, which accommodates biodiversity, right? So the first point I will try to make is the galactic neighborhood in terms of arms of Milky Way galaxy where we are located, and the star, particularly the class of star which Sun belongs to, is more suitable because it particularly have that spectral class G2, which makes it more suitable in terms of giving or accommodating a planet like Earth. So again, the third point I would try to make is the distance of Earth from the Sun within our solar system, right? So that helped us to to have or uh, to have water in form of liquid. So we have liquid water. Then the fourth point I would try to make is the composition of Earth with respect to the size, the mass, and in terms of we have the magnetic field, we have a good atmosphere, and all those things, how they all help us to accommodate life and in turn biodiversity. Then the fifth one is the orbit. Okay, so it's coming to the orbital concept in terms of the revolution and the rotation. So that will actually help us to understand the the climate what we inherit since last 4.5 billion years of Earth's existence, how we have derived or inherited the Earth what we have right now. And then the sixth point with respect to the rotation in terms of the axial tilt and the shorter duration, or you say short night and day with respect to in comparison to the what you say its rotation, right? So let us quickly try to convince that why it is very, very ideal. So the galactic environment in impact habitability. Look at the figure, the figure what I have put on the right hand side. This is the galaxy, and somewhere our solar system is located where we have put an yellow arrow. Okay, so what you can see that it is at the edge. Okay, it is somewhere away. It is not near active gamma ray source, not near the galactic center with high star density and ionizing radiation. So what happens in that? In far this particular loneliness, because our solar system, the sun which is in the star, so in our solar system, so that is located somewhere at a lonely place. So this loneliness in the galaxy is perhaps helpful to give the life or biota or biodiversity. And then coming to the spectral class of sun, yes, the earth rotates around the star, that is sun, and we have different spectral classes in terms of different stars. But when it comes to the case of sun, it belongs to G2 star class, and it is in the range of half star or habitat star. So where the ozone can form in the atmosphere and ionization is not deadly for life. And with respect to the variation in terms of stellar variation, if we see it in terms of the luminosity, all stars they change the luminosity, but our star, particularly the sun, it has a stability. The star that fluctuate luminosity violently are poor candidate. That means if you have a very broad range of variation in terms of the luminosity, then you are the poor candidate, or that star is the poor candidate in terms of hosting life. But you see how lucky we are. The sun is relatively stable because the variation in terms of the luminosity is less than 0.1% over 11-year cycle. So that will again see somewhere in between in terms of the what you say solar cycle and the dark spot, the falcon and all those things. And then slight variations dramatically impact Earth. So in terms of insolation, okay, in terms of insolation, you all know the the solar radiation falls on the Earth's surface, and that defines in terms of the energy gain and other things which we put under the broad term called insolation. So little ices decline in sun's luminosity and vice versa. This we will also see. So friends, up to this, I try to make a point that yes, the Earth means our solar system is located little at a lonely place in the galaxy, and our sun, the star, it is actually it belongs to the ideal or habitat range of class where the ionizations are not deadly for life. Had it been closer or closer to the or at the center of the galaxy, it would have a different story. And then the luminosity variation is very small, so varies to the tune of 0.1% over 11-year cycle. So now let's come back to our own solar system, right? So as I mentioned here in this slide, I want to make a point. Just look at the upper left diagram, right? Here you have a kind of a kind of blue wash zone, and all our 9 planets have been put 1 to 3. And look at the planet Earth where we all inhabit, that is falling within the habitable zone. So what does it mean? I just want to give you one point here, that yes, it is at the ideal location. It's at an ideal location, so that I'll come to somewhere. We experience a ideal temperature, the Earth's average temperature of 15.6 degree, what we have or what we are receiving these days. So we are receiving at an means we are we receive a kind of average temperature which is suitable for life. And then at this distance, we receive water also in form of liquid. Had we been inside in like Venus and Mercury, we would have found it in form of gas. And had we been away, a lot of our means all this water would have been in form of solid ice, right? So that way, Earth is very lucky to be at the right position so that we have water in form of liquid, we have water in form of solid and gas, right? So that is very, very important, and that is most suitable to accommodate life or biodiversity. Now, is that clear to all of you friends? If hello friends, is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Thank you so much. Please be attentive. I am trying to make a little theoretical things to make you convince the points. So please be attentive and interrupt me if you have any problem. Then coming to now we have come to Earth. Then we are trying to qualify Earth in terms of its higher mass. So Earth is largest by mass and density of terrestrial bodies in the solar system. It has large enough molten core, so that you know, which is a kind of acting like a kind of heat engine, large enough for atmosphere through gravity. It holds the atmosphere through our gravity. It does, the gravity doesn't allow the atmosphere to escape out. So large enough, this high mass of Earth is large enough for liquid outer core and metal inner core, which gives again the magnetic field. So we know we have the north, south, and the magnetic field. So these magnetic fields, okay, they protect the planet Earth from solar winds. As you know, the solar winds are the streams of charged particles from stars consisting of electrons and protons. So planets must have molten metal interior to have magnetic field to to protect themselves from the solar wind. So Earth just have a right kind of magnetic field, and it is protected by that way from the solar winds. Then we have the magnetic field, and I'm sorry if this is the repetition of the same slide. Then we have a right kind of atmosphere. So in atmosphere, as you know, the nitrogen is about 78%, oxygen 20.9, argon is 0.93, and importantly, the one of the dominant greenhouse gas. I hope all of you know what the meaning of a greenhouse gas, or what is the greenhouse gas effect. So the greenhouse gas, in terms of carbon dioxide, which is the dominant greenhouse gas, its proportion is about 410 ppm at the moment. So this composition is very ideal because we need a lot of nitrogen and we have a substantially good amount of oxygen which has evolved in course of time, say in past several millions of years. So this is actually a kind of ideal atmosphere Earth has to support life, to accommodate biota, to accommodate the biodiversity. Okay, so it also has the oxygen concentration, which is you can see from this particular picture on x-axis. The time frame has been given in terms of billion of years of Earth's existence, and this red line, okay, which gives us how the oxygen has evolved in last 2.3 or 4 billion years. So you can see since last I'd say about zero point 0.7 or 0.75 billion years, how the oxygen level has shoot up, and we have right now about 20.8 or 8 or plus. Okay, so about close to 21% of oxygen we have, which actually helps us in all those things. Right. So with this, let me take you to the current domain. Okay, so with this, I try to explain you the Earth, what we inherit, how from locational advantage within the galaxial system in terms of the our own solar system, which where sun is the star, and we all the planets are around. How the planet Earth has the right kind of composition, is located at a right distance, and has the right kind of gravitational and magnetic field to hold the atmosphere. So we reached up to that. Now let us try to understand about the climate and the climate change, particularly the mechanism of climate change. So we are entering into the second phase of our discussion, right? Friends, uh, can I ask you one question? Any of you can answer me. But we all say that yes, the temperature is rising. We all are living in a changing climate or in an warming world and things like that. Can any of you tell that what is the average temperature of Earth? I'll give you an example. The winter minima, okay, the winter minimum temperature at Dras or Siberia goes up to minus 40 degrees. The summer maxima temperature at our Chandragiri or Chandrapur near Nagpur, okay, goes sometime up to touches up to 58 degrees centigrade. So minus 42 plus 58, it is a kind of 100-degree variation in terms of the Earth's temperature at a particular place we are receiving, right, across an year. But I am asking you a question: what is the Earth's average temperature? So friends, the Earth's average temperature is something little more at this point, little more than 15.6 degrees centigrade. Please keep it in note. Okay. Now, with that, in this slide, I want to convince you that the temperature what we have right now. Look at this. The last but one column, which is known as the which is defined as the surface temperature in terms of degree Kelvin, right? So look at the two adjoining planet, Venus and Earth, and means Venus and Mars. In between, Earth is located, and this surface temperature in terms of degree Kelvin is 288 degree, right? So if you see in terms of degree centigrade, you just subtract it 288 minus 273, you will get 15 degree. This slide is a little old, and particularly in this changing things in last 100 years, in 1900 to 200, 1900 to 2000, Earth's temperature has increased by 0. 0.6 degree, and in last 20 years it is again increased. So that's why I added 0. 0.6. So 15.6 degree is somewhere is the average temperature of Earth. Now keep that in mind. What I want to tell you here is that had our greenhouse gases not been there, okay, then our Earth's temperature would have been 255 degree Kelvin. That means lower by 33 degree what we are experiencing now, right? So our Earth's average temperature would have been minus 18 degrees centigrade if we would not have greenhouse gases, right? So just compare in terms of the different planets, the greenhouse gases, dominantly per in case of Earth. Why H2O is mentioned? Because the water vapor serves as the dominant greenhouse gases during summer. Okay, so that's why it gives you the rising or temperature rise effect. So water and carbon dioxide. Okay, and this albedo is the reflectivity property of Earth. Whatever sunlight is falling, 33% is reflected back. And this is the effective temperature without the greenhouse gas effect. So with the greenhouse gas, our all the planets you can see the Venus has a increment in terms of temperature by 521 degrees centigrade. Earth has an increment with respect to 33 degrees centigrade. Okay, our outer planet Mars has increment with respect to 8 degrees centigrade. So friends, take this message very clearly that our greenhouse gas, the warming because of the greenhouse gases is by 33 degrees. Had we not have greenhouse gases, our Earth's average temperature would have been minus 18 degree now. But now, actually, the Earth's temperature, average temperature is something about 15.6 degree. So I think I made the point. Let with this thing keep the 15.6 degrees centigrade in mind as the Earth average temperature. And now let us move forward. Look at this particular diagram, friends. It is very convincing and it will give us a lot of comfort that for sometime we puzzle that what will happen in future. We are living in a where the greenhouse gases are increasing, temperature is increasing, and slow there is melt in terms of the glacier and snow and other things. We are seeing a lot of news coming here and there. So let us try to understand the past. Evidently, just look at the upper diagram. Can you see all this, the particular curve with respect to the temperature fluctuation in past 500 million years before present? So on the right hand side, the upper one, we are focusing on the upper diagram. And on the right hand side, we start at zero, that is where we live, that is the current scenario, right? And when we look back 500 million years, okay, please remember 10 lakh is 1 million, okay? So we are talking about 500 million, right? That means we are talking about half billion years, the temperature fluctuation, right? So please be attentive. Just see that in past 500 million years, the Earth's surface temperature, or I can say the average temperature, has fluctuated like this, fluctuated between 10 degree to 30 degree centigrade, right? Evidently. Then this fluctuation pattern is not very regular. It is irregular. And you can see when the temperature has come below 10 degree, towards, see, this is the minima here and another minima here and another slow here. So we have received ice ages, okay? And when the temperature is average temperatures are more than 20 or 25, you see the upper one, we have received warm ages. So what I mean to say, friends, that in past 500 million years, our Earth has evidently received four alternation in terms of earth and warm ages, right? And now look at the last one, close to zero. Okay, that means 0 million years. So that is the current scenario. Uh, so perhaps we are just after our we are sometime uh, means we are sometimes standing when the ice age has just over. So we call it a interglacial or a interstadial year. Now look at the diagram below, okay, where we have zoomed it with respect to 0 to 70. Okay, so the last part I have zoomed it here. So we are now here, and now you see in terms of the y-axis, 0 to 12 is the temperature or degree temperature has been mentioned. So this helps us in understanding that how Earth's temperature has fluctuated, and we are perhaps now in a glacial or interglacial phase and moving towards or climbing towards a warm era. Okay, so with this, the correlation with respect to the the 4 or 5 alteration in terms of the warm ages, you can see there are 5 largest mass extinction events happened. Okay, so you have a lot of species loss, the biological impact you see in terms of the geological marker, the biological impact, the possible causes. Okay, so if you will see that it is corroborating with respect to the geological events and the mass extinction. That means whenever there is large change has happened in terms of rapid cooling or rapid warming, that we have lost a lot of species, a lot of biodiversity, including marine and terrestrial. So it is very important to understand that yes, the change in temperature is affected or have caused loss of biodiversity in past. Okay, so many times you are seeing that yes, the biodiversity is decreasing or species are getting extincted, but it is bound to happen. It is bound to happen. So I would put it in the other way: the species which is suitable to that particular climate, that one only will survive. The one which is not suitable or cannot adapt, that one will be extincted. The one which is suitable, that one will take birth. So we call the speciation. New species are forming. So friends, the species will be extincted which cannot accommodate to the given climate. New species will be formed in the process of speciation which can accommodate to that particular given climate. So the species, the biological impact in terms of the biodiversity is constant. It is a dynamical constant. It will change. Okay, so this is the point I wanted to make here, and it has happened several times in the past, notably during the five largest mass extinction events. So with this, let us try to understand. Is it clear to all of you friends, or I am going little fast, slow, or some points I am not able to convince? Just a kind of feedback will
Sir,
help.
may I ask a question?
Sure, definitely.
Sir, what you talked about the interglacial and warm age phase, I could not get that point.
Oh, great. So let me answer you. Okay. So can you see this particular temperature fluctuation curve? You can
Yes,
see
sir, I
the
can.
upper one, right? So here on the y-axis, I have put the average temperature that is between 10 degree to 30 degree centigrade. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
on the right hand side is zero. The you see the x-axis zero, then you come from right to left 0 to 100 to 200, 300, 400, and 500. This is the million of years say, towards past. Okay, zero means we are at a current. Then 100 million year past, 200 million year past, 300, like this. We are looking at 500 million year past as far as the temperature fluctuation has happened. Am I clear? So
Yes,
this
sir.
this curve says that the temperature has fluctuated in this way, okay, between 10 to 30 degrees centigrade in past 500 million years. Okay, now it will be clear to you when you come to zero and see that the temperature is somewhere here. And before this, I mentioned that Earth average temperature is now about 15.6 degrees centigrade. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that means the point I want to make that in past 500 million years, Earth has already received alternately warm age and ice ages. Okay. So between two ice age or between two glacial ages, we say the glacial. Between two glacials, we get the interglacial, that is the warm phase. So warm phase means all the glaciers will be melted. Ice phase means the whole ice, the whole world, Earth must have been covered by ice or snow, must have been frozen, right? Because you see the average temperature about 10 degree or many of the, and if you see between 100 to 200, you have a cool. So that means a lot of the polar regions must have been covered with ice. Am I clear now? So in past
Yes,
500
sir.
million years, Earth's average temperature has fluctuated in this way, and that is, and accordingly we have received alterations. Means the ice and warm ages alternately, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or doubts? I'll be very happy to uh, answer.
Sir, I had a doubt.
Yes, please.
So, sir, this might be a very basic question, but I wanted to know how we were able to understand the fluctuations in the temperature since we were not actually there to witness it.
Okay, okay. I was expecting this. Okay, just allow me to open another slide with the permission of the session chair, right? So just allow me. That will give you a clear things. I am happy that you are asking me questions, and I'll try to answer your doubts. Is this visible to all of you now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, friends, this is the way the scientists they try to get information about the past. Okay. Now you see, I have put it in terms of 1 day to 10 lakh million years, 10 lakh years, right? Okay. So 1 million years. So 1 to 1 million year is the scale. Now we have different ways to to come out with records on the climate. Okay. So the satellite data and the in situ based, I am coming from top to bottom. So the satellite based observation or in situ based observation gives us information about the climate, particularly temperature, precipitation, or other climate variables up to past 50 years or so. Okay. With other historical data, we can go up to revealing the climate record of past 100 years using tree rings. Okay. Tree rings, we can go up to 200 plus years in terms of getting the information about the climate record. Just hold on, I am coming to the next slide to explain you. Now I am telling with respect to record. In the next slide, I'll explain you with respect to temperature. Okay. The fourth one, I want to make a clear thing with respect to the pollen and the sample with from the lake core. So what happened, friends? You see the pollens and the other materials. They when they fall, okay, when they fall and let's say they are falling and deposited in a lake which is there in a forest region, and year by year it is happening. Okay, it is happening since last several years. So people or the scientists, what they do, they put a pore and take the sample and analyze it, because it stores the temperature, it stores the other atmospheric composition at that particular time period. Okay. So keeping taking the clue or proxy from there, they correlate it to many things and come out with climate records including the temperature. Same is for the ice core and glacial. Now you see this goes up to 1 lakh. Okay, we with respect to the Vostok ice core and others, we have gone now up to 5 lakh 70,000 years back in terms of studying the carbon concentration or the greenhouse gas concentration, the temperature and things like that. What we do, we pour in Antarctica the cores and take the sample from the ice core. What happens during the snowflakes, when the snowfall happens, you know the snowflakes. So when it falls, along with that, it takes the composition of the atmosphere. Okay, what it is, how much carbon, methane, or whatever it is, it stores it. So it is being stored, and if you can carefully take that sample from the ice cores, which are the glacial features which are present in either poles, you reveal the climate records of the past. The other one is the sediment, particularly the isotopic study from the oceans. As you know, oceans are 2+ billion years old. So people are working on and based on isotopic and other studies, taking the sediments and trying to understand the past climate. And of course, the fossils, as many of you know, and from the sedimentary rocks. Now I'll give you an example with respect to C14 and O18 proxy. Look, the C14, the cosmic rays, they produce the C14. As you know, C14 and C12 is the actual layer, and C14 is the isotope of carbon, right? So this C14 isotope has half-life period of 5,730 years and constitutes about 1% of the carbon in an organism. Okay, so this happens when the organism in live condition, but when the organism dies, its C14 concentration continues to decay, right? So the older the organism, the less is the C14, and this we unravel by doing the half-life period study. Okay. Second, with respect to O16 and O18, which gives us a temperature proxy. Okay, we are discussing on the temperature. So this O18, okay, the actual A is 16, O18 is the isotope of oxygen. So O18 is heavier and it is hard to evaporate. So what happens as the temperature decreases, which we can see it has happened in the past during the ice ages. So when the temperature decreased in ice ages, the snow deposit contains less of O18 while the ocean water and the marine organisms, those are coccolithophores and others having calcium carbonate concentration, they contain more of O18. So if you carefully take a kind of ratio of O18 by O16. Okay, in ice and marine deposits, they actually provide you a kind of proxy of thermometer which indicates the temperature fluctuation between ice age and the interglacials. Okay, so the inference is if you the low O18 in ice age indicates in ice indicates it was deposited during cold condition, whereas low O18 in marine sediments or marine deposits, it indicates that it was deposited in the warm condition. So this O16, O18, O16 ratio behaves as a proxy of temperature or proxy of thermometer, and that is how the scientists they try to go back and reveal the past record and try to understand what has actually happened in the past. Am I clear to all of you? Thank you for asking this question and for the clarification. Now I'll go back to our discussion, right? Is that clear, friend? Who asked me this question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You can, I'll be happy to share some text with respect to this, also including the slides if the organizer wishes, which can be distributed to all of you also. Yeah. Then let me make another point. Means you can ask how or what are the mechanisms of climate change. Okay. So the mechanism of climate change, friends, can be explained with respect to the natural processes. You have the natural, you have the man-made. I am here discriminating the, I'm here giving more focus on the natural processes, right? So you have plate tectonics, okay? So plate tectonics, you have the continent movement, ocean and other things. You have the insolation, okay? So that I will try to explain you. Maybe you might not have listened it before. It could be interesting to all of you. And then the greenhouse gas composition, then the circulation. We have the temperature, or you said the salt, sweet water, and all these things. So we put them everything in terms of a thermohaline circulation. Then the sunspot activity. Just we discussed about the luminosity, which is varying at a 0.1 or less than that. So we'll see how this solar radiation variation at a time frame of 11 years also matters. Okay. Then the aerosol concentration, atmospheric aerosols with respect to the radiative balance and creation of lot of deserts that led to cooling and things like that. So please hold on. This is very interesting. This is the second part of this I wanted to emphasize on and to educate you with respect to understanding the mechanism of climate change. And just before, as we are discussing, this slide came in between, and look at these two graphs. Okay, here both have been plotted with respect to the upper one is the temperature change in terms of degree centigrade, -10 to +4 degree, and vis-a-vis a kind of carbon dioxide concentration which is between 160 to 300 ppm, okay, parts per million by volume. So if you see, friends, this is 0 to 4 lakh years, okay, from the time scale which is given in the x-axis. Broadly, you will agree with me that they are corroborated. They are proportionately changing. So that means increase in temperature or increase in temperature is proportional to increase in carbon dioxide concentration or vice versa. Or I would say increase in CO2 is corroborated with increase in the temperature. So this is a very important finding which has been plotted by analyzing the samples taken from the Vostok ice core from Antarctica. So this is the first convincing things to know that yes, the greenhouse gases are contributing to the temperature or rise in temperature, okay, or temperature fluctuation in that way. So I just tried to put them with respect to 4 different divisions in terms of one cycle. Then the first point I will try to make. All of you know about continental drift theory. And what happens? Earlier you have a Pangea where everything was together, all the terrestrial landmass. Then you have a Laurisian Gondwana plate distinction. Then we have another 7 and further they moved apart, and we are getting the continents that we have right now. This particular theory was given by Alfred Wegener, named as continental drift theory, on his book in on the origin of continents and the ocean. This all of us know. Now, what's the point with respect to climate change? Okay, so the point is here. The point is consequence of continental drift on climate. Look at this. Poleward drifting of continents provides land area for ice formation. Okay, so poleward drifting of continents, if you have more what do you say, terrestrial mass towards pole, then you are giving more substrata, more place for the ice to deposit. So it will perhaps give you a cold climate. Okay, so come and read the other thing. Then I'm coming to the third point. Joining of the North and South America strengthens the Gulf Stream and increased the oceanic heat transport. So in that way, if the joining happens, so you got a warm climate. And the third one, which is very familiar to us as the Himalaya. So the uplift of Himalaya, which is at a 8,000 plus height, this is just, you can see it is totally regulating the climate of this subcontinent. Okay, in terms of monsoon, you say the Asian monsoon, it is acting as a barrier. On the other side, you have a cold desert. On this side, you have good forest. So it is actually totally controlling in terms of a continental climate. Okay, so this is the effect of the continental drift theory, or the consequence of drift theory in terms of the climate. Okay, of Earth. So let us go to the second point here. Please, all of you, continue to be very attentive. This particular gentleman from SURF, okay, he is an astrophysicist in 1920. He explained the Earth's average temperature fluctuation, what I just described, okay, which has altered like that. So, okay, mathematically, okay, using the orbital theory, okay. Earth revolves around the sun. It rotates around its own axis. It has a tilt. It has a wobbling effect. Okay, all of you know the wobble. Okay, so try to understand, friends. This is the second point. So what is happening? He tried to explain it in three ways. He put it forth, said that the variation in terms of eccentricity, precision, and obliquity. Okay. So eccentricity is the changes in the shape of Earth's orbit around the sun. Oblique is the Earth's axis of rotation. Change and obliquity is the changes in the tilt of the Earth. Okay, so this all rotates at a different cycle with a time period of 1 lakh year, 22,000 year, 41,000 year. I'll say somewhere 42,000, or I will say somewhere 22,500, something like that, but it is approximately near. But remember, these three are explaining means the variation of Earth's orbit. So look at this. All of us know the two terms, particularly perihelion and aphelion. Okay, perihelion, you see the path what Earth takes around the sun. Okay, it is not circle, it is slightly elliptical. Okay, the closest distance, okay, when it is like we are receiving summer, that closest distance is called the perihelion, and the farthest distance is called the aphelion. Okay, so this has a repercussion with respect to receiving the light, or receiving the solar radiation, or you call the insolation. Okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, so this I wanted to only make a point with respect to the eccentricity period. This eccentricity fluctuation, as you can see, with respect to one planet, with respect to other planet and other things, and just focus on the inner circle where Earth is shown as a blue color ball, and the yellow and the red color orbit. Okay, this orbital variation or the fluctuation happens at a time frame of about 4 lakh years. Okay, so this much fluctuation is sufficient enough, or is explained in terms of some insolation of giving more or less temperature. Okay, so if we put it, just don't read the materials, these are too clumsy here. Just look at the right hand side figure. Okay, so the eccentricity, which we can put it in terms of epsilon, this varies between 0 to 0.06. This is the eccentricity. Okay, 0 means it is near circle, and if it is little elliptical, then it is 0.06. So this is the maximum variation we have for Earth, and this variation, okay, if you see, is not constant, and Milankovitch has proved it that this takes a circle like this. So epochs of 413 years complete and small at 1 lakh year. So what happens, friends? This is the important point. If you have small eccentricity, that means near circular, you have 7% energy difference between sun and winter. You have, I am repeating, if you have a small eccentricity, that means if the orbit around the sun is close to circle, okay, then it is having a smaller eccentricity, that means 7% energy difference. If it is a large eccentricity, that means it can go up to 0.06, that means it can have 20% energy difference between the summer and winter season. So large eccentricity also changes the length of the season. So the winter will be more, and the summer will be less, or vice versa. So these have repercussion in terms of, see, in explaining the climate in past. And the second thing, maybe you must have been tired, but please hold on for next 5-10 minutes. The more of this intensive brain things will will go away, then we'll come to the application. So the second component I want to make with respect to the obeling. Okay, so look at these three circles. Okay, and see the red ball, that is the sun, and see the blue ball, that is the earth. Okay, and the positioning in three different time period. The first one is for today's position, where perihelion during the northern winter has been shown, and 5,500 years perihelion during the northern spring, and 11,000 years during the northern summer. So what I mean to say is that the kind of uh, configuration we have right the moment, giving an example, we are receiving winter in December. Maybe after 11,000 years or before 11,000 years, we received summer during winter. You keep this in your mind, and things will be understood. Now let me move to the next component, is the tilt. As all of us understood or studied in our geography class in class 6-7, that our earth is tilted by 23.5 degree. Yes, that's correct, but that's not the absolute. The earth's tilt varies between 20.1 degree and 24.5 degree at a time scale of 41,000 years. Okay, so this is the present day tilt, okay, which is 23.5, and minimum tilt is 22.1 and maximum is 24.5. So remember, you have an object and sun is there. If it is least tilted, that means more area, less area is facing this sunlight. If it's more tilted, then more area is facing sunlight. So that means it has a repercussion with the heating or cooling effect that we explain in terms of insolation. So keeping all three together, putting all three together, 1,41,000, 23,000, any two, 1,23,000, then 41,23, and all three together. Okay, we are getting this kind of circle or the cycle, which Milankovitch has explained in terms of the combination of the cycle. But then, what is the important take our message from this? Doing all this exercise, Milankovitch explained. First, look at the lower diagram. He explained that if you put everything together, it is explaining the temperature variation what Earth has experienced in past, or what Earth is experiencing in present, or what Earth can experience in future, just because of its orbital forcing point of view. Look at the upper diagram. The blue field are the cold era, and upper one is the warm era. So this is the accurate calculation of insolation changes due to the orbital changes by Earth. So friends, in this point too, I tried to put the Milankovitch theory, which is actually studied in the geological classes at master's degree, but I took it here to explain you, to make you understand that yes, the orbital forcing explains the temperature fluctuation in past climate, or also in the current climate, or could be in the future climate. Let's come to the third one. Are you with me? Or tired?
Yes, sir.
Very good. May I have one more yes, or one
Yes,
more no?
sir.
Whatever it is.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you so much. So let's go to the third one in terms of the geological carbon cycle. Here, friends, I want to make you one point. I'll not go into all the details. I will try to make one point that since 2.2 billion years, more than that, our what you say ocean has formed, and we have all these weathering events happening. Weathering event means your precipitation, that is water, CO2, which is there in the soil carbon. I am talking about the soil carbon here. So it gives the carbonic acid. Okay, and we have 9.96% of the carbon is in the rock. So through the rock weathering mechanism, the the carbon, okay, which is stored in the rock, is getting escaping, or is escaping, okay, through the weathering mechanism, and getting deposited in the ocean. Okay, so this is the not this is in nutshell. I wanted to say that the lithospheric carbon is, through the weathering process, is moving and deposited in the ocean. Okay, so part of that again escapes to the atmosphere by means of the volcanoes or the soda spring. So, what is the take home message from this? That the greenhouse gases, and dominantly the carbon, is cycling through a geochemical transport, and this cycling also regulates our temperature. Okay, then the fourth, here I want to make one point. This is the freshwater runoff and thermohaline circulation. Okay, all of you know, friends, the during rainy season, a lot of runoffs goes from the terrestrial mass and deposits in the soil, in the sea. Okay, at the estuary and where the uh, river meets the sea, right? So what happens? This is one part. The second part is, if you see, if you have a lot of ice melt, what will happen? The salinity concentration, or the salinity of the ocean, will fluctuate. Okay, will decrease. Okay, so this is one. The second component I want to make is, the tropics are warmer than the cold, or the uh, what you say polar water, because tropics being at equator, it receives maximum sunlight, and then you have the thermohaline circulation. So heat carried from the tropical waters into North Atlantic is released to eastward moving air masses. So it leads to a kind of variation in terms of warm and shallow water, cold, salty, and deep water. So thermohaline circulation regulates heat transport and causes colder winter, and vice versa. Just from a broader perspective, you understand that the thermohaline circulation and the freshwater runoff, this also plays a very important role, because it alters the temperature as far as the water is concerned, or the ocean water is concerned. Then the last but one is the fifth one, that is with respect to solar variability. Friends, we know the term solar constant, which is the amount of radiation received at the Earth, particularly the mean Earth sun distance, by 1 square meter by 1 square meter surface at the top of the atmosphere. That's the definition. But what I want to tell you, the amount of radiation Earth receives is about 1367 watts per meter square. But it fluctuates, or it has fluctuated in past several hundred years, between 1364 to 1368. Okay? Between 1364 to 1368. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So as we know, we have the sunspots, that is the dark spots, which is cycle at a period of 11 years. So dark spots means it's the cold region, dark region, but always these sunspots or the dark regions or the cold regions are accompanied with bright spots. Okay, bright hot regions called the faculae. Okay, so when sunspots appears at a cycle of 11 years, it is accompanied by a lot of faculae, that means bright spots. So in turn, what happens when you have more sunspots, you have more faculae, that means bright spots, and the what you say amount of radiation what Earth receives is more, and vice versa. Okay. Now look at this particular figure. We have plotted it with for the year 1600 to 2000. Okay, this is the solar irradiance plotted between 1363.5 to 1360.8 on the y-axis. Okay, so if you see this Maunder, okay, Maunder plotted it with respect to the variation of solar irradiance and found that between 1645, look at this, and 1715, look at this, you have a minimum that is the solar that is called the Maunder's minimum. Okay, so what happens? Uh, this time the record says this time there was an irregular cycle in the solar abundance with so sunspots were this time there was the sunspots were virtually absent between 1645 to 75. So virtually absent means what? It has given you low solar radiation, and that this decrease in solar radiation, which we call as the Maunder minimum, corresponds to little ice age and may explain why temperatures were abnormally cold during this time. So during 1650 to 1750, there was a little ice age during that 115 years. And Maunder's minimum explains that with respect to solar variability. Is it not interesting to understand? Then coming to the last mechanism is the aerosols. Okay, so what happened, friends? In past, a lot of this mineral dust, volcanic gas, everything they found, and large dust spikes. Okay, if large dust spikes occurred during the glacial period, these large dust spikes means you have the deserts, particularly the Sahara, Gobi, Thar, all these deserts have expanded that period. So in terms of insolation, if you have more deserts, then the incoming sunlight will be reflected back. So if everything is reflected back, it is that means you are having a cool effect, or less temperature is retained by the earth. So always large dust spikes are correlated with expansion of deserts and related to glacial period. Okay, so these are the 6 points I tried to make you before to explain this. So let me go back to this. So I explained it with respect to plate tectonics, insolation with respect to Milankovitch theory, greenhouse gas with respect to CO2 movement from a rock to ocean to the atmosphere, then the thermohaline circulation, then sunspot activity with respect to solar variation and the Maunder's minimum, and atmospheric aerosols with respect to expansion of the deserts, the dust spikes, and with respect to that you have received more of glacial or the cold eras. So friends, these all actually explains very carefully the mechanisms of the climate change, right? So I thought to explain you, to convince you that yes, these are the mechanisms of climate change. Now we have a relaxing phase, that is the application, where we are more comfortable. I'll not take more than 5 minutes here, and I'll rather take few questions from you. So we get climate, as you understand, sun is the major thing. You have the thermohaline circulation, atmosphere circulation, other things. And third one, what we understood with respect to the what you say arrangement of the land mass, across the globe, right, across the Earth's surface. And this particular slide is very important. Try to see it. This particular, I wanted to show you that with respect to this triangle, which is shown as the sunlight, temperature, and water, the three colors, and directly come to Indian subcontinent. Okay, you will see that the productivity, the production, it's simply the plant photosynthesis. Okay, the production is controlled by or is regulated or is limited by availability of water. We have sunlight, we have temperature, the simple things needed for photosynthesis. Okay, we have a good fertile soil. So if we have more and more water, then we'll have more productivity. Okay. So these three components, temperature, sunlight, water, go with the climate. And the productivity is related to biodiversity. So I'm trying to give you a link. Why there could be a link between climate change, and biodiversity. So productivity is the route to link them. It's not the only, but it is one of the major route to link them. So a lot of hypotheses have been proposed. You have climate hypothesis, you have climate variability hypothesis. Yeah, so the climate hypothesis says that species richness varies with temperature and weather availability given by 1987 by Curie. So what it means that yes, the species richness varies with availability of temperature and water, and particularly as far as India is concerned, okay, in tropical person, it is constrained by availability of water. Go to the and cold desert areas, we have the Kashmir and other areas. There it is also constrained by temperature because we are receiving minimum temperature for most part of the year. So there it is constrained by the temperature. So this particular slide, as it says, across the globe, it is constrained, the biodiversity is constrained either by water supply or by availability of sunlight. You talk of the two different hemispheres. You will know that 6 months and 6 months here and there. So availability of sunlight and average of availability of temperature, because there are a lot of your biochemical enzymes and others get active. You need a minimum temperature to be there. So this is the route actually to understand the linkage between climate and biodiversity. Am I right? Then let me talk just 2-3 slides with respect to our work. Friends, since last 20-25 years, we are working in terms of understanding our Indian forest type distribution, their what kind of temperature fluctuation in terms of temperature anomaly, precipitation anomaly. The left hand upper left is the temperature anomaly, the lower left is the precipitation anomaly, and right hand side you have a very detailed forest type map of India that we have came out, and we try to correlate how they go. And accordingly, we have tried to give a lot of conservation plans. And this is a kind of advanced correlation with respect to variation partitioning, where we have tried to correlate the biodiversity at 1 degree grid over India with respect to temperature and precipitation minima and maxima. And also we tried to plot it in a 3-dimensional scale, the precipitation anomaly with respect to plant richness, the vapor pressure deficit, which is another variable of climate in terms of plant richness, and also different forest types. I'm sorry for the slide quality, but here we try to see that different forest types are also correlated or have a definite relationship with respect to temperature and precipitation anomaly across India. Here we also proven in terms of Western Himalayan plant diversity that energy particularly defines the broad pattern of plant distribution in Western Himalaya. And here I stop with respect to a simple convention that climate change is happening. It has happened evidently with respect to a temperature fluctuation between 13 to 30 degree average surface temperature. The current Earth average temperature is 15.6 degree. We explained the mechanism of climate change. We also understood the link or the possible link of climate to the biodiversity distribution pattern without going much into that. And finally, we discussed that how Indian plant diversity also are affected by different climate variables. We have 10 minutes time to go. I'll be happy to take your questions. I think I have become a little fast towards end, but Yeah,
Thank you
please.
so much. That was really an interesting and captivating, engrossing lecture. I'm sure our students have learned a lot. So now I would like to inform my students that the house is open for any questions and query. Though students have, it was very nice of you, sir, to allow the questions to be asked during the session as well.
I,
Mostly, yeah. So that's so nice of you, and students have a lot of queries have been cleared. So now I would like to request all of you, if any of you is having any query, so you can type in the chat box, and sir would be happy to take your questions from there. So
uh,
in the meantime, while the students are writing the questions, I want to ask. Okay, somebody's writing. Thank you so much, sir, for providing such an informative session. Yeah. So thank you so much, sir. And now I would like, sir, you may stop sharing your screen if you want to.
yeah, no problem.
Yes, sir. Sir, so I would like to ask you while the students are thinking about their questions or their queries. So, what I want to ask you, what are your views on the latest IPCC report that have come up? Few as they have given that that was a red warning for the humanity. So, what do you think? What are your views on that?
Yeah. See, this IPCC comes out in the sixth assessment report. It has to come out with three reports. It has come out with its first report, that is the physical basis. Okay. The second one, in terms of the assessment, will be released maybe towards the end of this year, where I am also one of the review editors. So, as far as the first report, the physical basis is concerned, it is very, it's not alarming. It's informing. It informs us about our activities. Okay, so our activities in turn releasing a lot of greenhouse gases, and as we know, greenhouse gases contribute to the rise in temperature. So if we continue to what do you say, load our atmosphere the way we are loading in terms of quantity of greenhouse gases, that is alarming. So perhaps we have to do more for that. But it is crystal clear that if we continue to do that, then within the end of this century, the Earth's average temperature will increase by 3 degrees. Now, perhaps at the end of today's lecture, you all will be happily understand that if in past 500 million years, the Earth's temperature has fluctuated between 10 to 20 degree, that means within a range of uh, within a 10 to 30 degree, within a range of 20 degree. And here we are talking about a time frame where we are saying that in next 80 years, our Earth's average temperature will rise by 3 degree in just 80 years. Look at 500 or 100 million years where temperature is fluctuating between with a range of 20 degree. Here we are talking within 80 years we are going to rise our temperature by 3 degree. So that is alarming. So that is because we have to take all sort of measurements, all sort of what do you say, mitigation, adaptation, whatever methods to curb the pace of release or the pace of loading our atmosphere with the greenhouse gases. That is the cause of concern. So human being is definitely is in the riding seat. They have been contributing to the rise in temperature, and they can only do the minimization. So onus on the human being.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much, sir. One more thing I want to ask you, sir. As we know that, like there are a number of factors which drive the extinction of various species, whether flora and fauna. So yeah, and we also know that like poaching, hunting are there, pollution is there, but climate change is also one of the major reasons. So what do you think? To what extent climate change is responsible for the, we are like seeing the extreme events like forest fires, which are actually like the one we saw in Australia in 2019-20. So that became one of the major reason for koala is has become into the endangered category because of that. So I just want to know to what is the, to what extent climate change is responsible for that species extinction at large scale that we are seeing these days.
Yeah, these are very well related. As I mentioned in one of our slides, that yes, the species they will survive which can accommodate to the climate, to the given climate. Let's say now our average temperature is 15.6, and let's say in this point of in this part of the country, let's say you are located in Delhi, you know the temperature fluctuation. Just bring into mind the winter minima, which is going up to 7 degree, let's say, and the summer maxima going up to 50, 51 degree at best. Okay, so the set of species which can accommodate, let's say from temperature point of view, which can accommodate to that set of thermal range will be there. They can accommodate means they can either survive, they can adapt to survive, or otherwise they will have to mitigate. So this is one of the things. And remember the other part, like you see some of the invasive species. Okay, the species, they need the ingredients for their photosynthesis. So right kind of temperature accordingly they are distributed. Soil, water, and other things. So that means it depends. If the C4 category of plants, you know, C3, C4, and other things, C4 groups of plants, they give a tough competition to the C3 group of plants in terms of higher, water use potential, and some nutrient use potential and other things. Okay, so that means they will be the champion in contrast to the C3 plants. So it is always a competition. You understand? So in that course, as you mentioned, in that course, if you will take account, you will definitely see a lot of species are going to extinct, endangered, and a lot of new species are also forming that I mentioned through the process of speciation. This is a dynamical change, and it is bound to happen. And in that slide, I have shown evidently that you all know during Jurassic period, these dinosaurs and other things have disappeared, and they are surviving because that particular climate and environment was suitable to them, and they disappeared because the next one was not suitable to them. That was evidently recorded in films and others we know. But every day species are extincted, they are created, or speciation and extinction are happening hand in hand.
Thank you so much. Yes, you
We
very
have a
well.
lot of questions.
Yes, a lot of questions are there. So, would you like to read those questions from the chat box, or you would want me?
Yeah, Himanshu Chaudhary
Yes.
has two questions back to back. Let me see. How the interaction between human-made factor and natural variables of climate change, changing the intensity of climate change equilibrium, and what is the way forward? Oh, very tricky question. Okay, let me try to answer. The interaction between human-made factor and natural variables of climate change. See, it is augmenting. Okay, what you see, let's say the rate of release of carbon, I try to put it a little differently. Let's say the photosynthesis. Okay, during the course of photosynthesis on a global scale, take a budget, about 120 petagrams of carbon is fixed per annum. Okay, out of that, 60 petagrams is consumed by respiration, and again another 60 by other means. So net is almost balanced. Okay, but these days, because of the deforestation activity, because of the industrial activity, we are loading the atmosphere at a rate of 11 petagrams of carbon per year. So that is the interface, the interaction of, or the contribution of human factor or human made factor because of the deforestation activities, or you say the industrial activities to the climate change. What we designate, if we put together the natural and the anthropogenic, you put it the global climate change. Okay, the second part of the question is what is the way forward? The way forward is nothing else to try undoing some of the activities which contributes to this. You can think of many ways to undo it, like you see, based on the CCS principle, carbon capture and storage. Now in Delhi, the government, the state, the UT government has erected a tower which is which is trying to capture a lot of these greenhouse gases and other environmental pollutants. So that is one way to reduce at this level. Many people in a lot of industries, people have erected it, and in many places they are taking this and storing it some other places where it will not affect. So that means we have to think of every means to withdraw or to minimize the greenhouse gas concentration from the atmosphere. That is the way forward. And to do that, we have to also maybe adapt a lot of things. We have to mitigate a lot of things and to accommodate a lot of things. Okay. Next, your second question is also, there is news in the newspaper that the frequent earthquakes in Delhi NCR region is indicating towards unusual threat. How we can understand this increment of earthquake numbers with respect to physical factors related to phenomena of earthquake? Is it related with abnormality with tectonic drifts? This is, I'm sorry, Himanshu, this is little beyond my scope. If I may commit mistake in this platform when things are recorded, I will not attempt this question, because as I understand, earthquake is a very long-term phenomenon that happens over time, and it has less with respect to the simple epochs of the climate change. That much only I can answer at this moment. Next is Priyasa Sharma. How can we learn more about what you have taught us today in this brief session? I think that the understanding and the science behind the phenomena is very essential if we intend to combat the rising temperature. I would really want to learn more of the brainstorm. Yes, Priyasa, and I would request the organizer, I'll send you some link and some materials which you may circulate to the participants. I'm sure that will help them. Next, yeah, Himanshu, maybe you adjusted, you understood me in terms of my not answering the earthquake related question. Yeah.
Anyone else wants to ask any other questions? So you can ask, sir. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. Okay, okay, fine, sir. You can, if you want, you can provide us some notes or
Sure. I'll send.
reading material for the students.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much on behalf of IP Indraprasth College for Women community. I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you present here today in the online during the special lecture session in the online certificate course on climate, community, and conservation. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Mukund Dev Behera for such an engrossing and captivating talk. Sir, it was a privilege and it was such a learning experience to listen to you today. Uh, I'm sure all of us are going to take a lot from this session. You talked about Milankovitch cycle to the students, the major reasons why actually this it was very interesting and very. I'm so overwhelmed to see that students got to know in detail. You told them about the various reasons actually why climate change happens, and like what is the weather patterns, what was the weather pattern, climate pattern over the last 500 million years, like millions of years you talked about the major reasons. And that was so I think, and you had so much patience, so patiently you also answered all the queries of the students. That was so great, sir, and it was really a very informative session. Thank you so much, sir, for making it a memorable evening for us. I
Thank you.
would also like to extend my gratitude to the principal in the First College for Women for her constant support in organizing such courses, a course like this. And I would also like to extend my gratitude to coordinator, Center for Earth Studies, Dr. Anandita Roy Saha, for helping us conceptualizing this course and also for her constant support in organizing it. I would also like to thank all the faculty members present here today with us, and last but not the least, all the participants. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this session a really a successful session. Thank you so much. Thank now the participants may leave now, and I would again like to thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such a captivating talk and accepting our invite. Thank you so much. So that was
Thank
all
you.
from
I
my side.
love talking to you because it was interactive and that
Yes.
on the other end, a teacher always enjoys. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much, sir. The participants may leave now, and we have our next lecture scheduled by Dr. Ulka Kelkar. See you guys. And for all the details, I would like to inform everyone, for all the details, you please keep a tab on the course web portal. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.